Hey wild things, it's Cypris. Happy New Year! I am so glad to be past 2018. On this episode of Cypris Tea, I'm going to share with you my expectations for myself for the coming year. Welcome to 2019. Are you guys as relieved to be here and past 2018 as I am? Oh my. That was a real corker of a year. I'm going to share my expectations for the coming year with you. I think we call them New Year's resolutions, but it's more like goals, right? I'm not resolving to do anything. I'm just taking advantage of the progression of time to refocus my priorities and my goals, and that's what we're going to talk about. So, 2018. Bye-bye! Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Holy cow. There were a lot of good things about 2018. There was a lot of accomplishment, a lot of personal growth for me, but there were so many horrible things about 2018, especially toward the end of 2018, that I would just as soon never relive as long as I live. And I'm not sure I've ever been as happy to see a new year come in. So let's celebrate the marching of time together, shall we? First things first. The year is 2019, and 2019, the digits 2019 add up to 12. That's a really auspicious number. It's a number of mass completion. That sounds like good news to me. And it's a number of powerful energy, number 12. Is it Kabbalistic terms where we've got the number 7 as physical completion and the number 5 as spiritual completion, so the number 12, add those together, it's all completion. I may be misquoting that, but inherent in this year, numerologically speaking, this grand wholeness. And I don't know how much of that's going to apply to me, but at least it's a positive influence on the coming year. I could use all the positive stuff I could get, I'll tell you what. Alright, so I know it's kind of cheesy to do New Year's resolutions, but I really like the idea of having this fresh start. And there's something about being at the nadir of the year, the absolute low point of life on the planet, at least in our hemisphere, where everything just goes into hibernation. Elementally speaking, we've got hibernation and then looking toward rebirth. So it's a great time to think about the changes we want to make or the things we want to accomplish as we move forward. I just enjoy the idea. Now, it's not January 1st. Usually I end up coming up with my resolutions sometime by early February, actually. I don't do a January 1st resolutions. For me, the winter holidays, including Christmas and New Year's, are where we let go of the old. And it's not until we finish letting go of the old that I really start feeling the next year coming up. It's not until after we survive the death, the days getting as short as they possibly could and starting to make their way back, it's not until then that I start feeling like looking forward to what's coming and actually believing that the warmth might return and I might not freeze to death. So it's usually late January or early February before I come to terms with whatever my goals are for the coming year. I'm actually ahead of the game this year because today, as I'm filming, is January 4th. I'm like way on top of this. What do I want to see happen in the coming year? I have 5 goals for myself, 5 things that need to happen or that I need to make happen as I go forward in the year. Call them resolutions, call them goals. Oh, this is still too hot. Today's tea selection is ginger turmeric. This is herbal tea because it's late enough in the day. I've been sipping black tea to stay warm. So if I have any more black tea, I'm going to ping off the roof. It's got a rather potent flavor and smell. It's very much like you'd imagine it would smell, and I'm still trying to decide if I like it. I like the idea of it, and I like that it's got all these healthy things in there, but I think the flavor is going to take some getting used to. Anyway, I've got to let this cool down. So, 5 things that I want to accomplish, work on, make happen for 2019. I have these listed in order of expediency, not necessarily order of importance. Things that I need to focus on first are listed first. Number 1. Before spring, I want to finish cleaning up old business. I've got unfinished things, frayed edges from previous projects and goals that I just need to get them taken care of and out of my life. That's priority 1. Just clean it up, get it out of here. To a large degree, I've been stuck in the sort of doldrums because this old stuff is still haunting me. 1 is clean up unfinished business. Number 2, I want to keep improving this channel. I think I've made some strides, and I want to keep making improvements in content, in entertainability, entertainment factor. I appreciate that you're watching me, and I want to keep giving you a reason to want to tune in. You can look forward to me filming all of my greatest mistakes for your viewing amusement. So number 2 is keep improving the content on my channel. Number 3, I need to get off my duff and actually exercise. I have been a lump. I have been slothful. I have been a blob on the couch for a couple of years now, and this isn't me. I like to exercise. I work out fairly hard, and every day, you know, I'll switch between a workout and a power walk. And somehow that just stopped. I hit a funk, and I think it was that there was just too much for me to process, and when you exercise, you process. And so exercising, it was just, there was too much. I literally had to just bottle it all up and compress it, and so if I were working out, I would have overburnt myself, I think. Or I was just really being really lazy. But I really miss it. This last year, I think the only exercise I got was a very occasional hike and mowing my lawn. Now granted, that was a bit of a workout, but not the sort of meditative, in the zone kind of workout that I thrive on. I can feel my body atrophying. Like the muscles are just, and I don't like that feeling. So it's time to gird up my loins, as it were, and that didn't sound right. I gotta get my groove back on physically. That's goal 3. Number 4 and number 5 are kind of related to this overall moving forward theme that I've got going on. Number 4, I want to take myself from this holding pattern that I've been in of grief and dysfunction and recovering from that. I have been on the road to recovery, but recovering isn't the same as having recovered. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's not in past tense. I am still at a point where I have to treat myself really gently, and I'll have bursts of productivity and then long spans of being halfway comatose. And it's not that I am depressed. In fact, I'm in a more positive mood than I've ever been in my life. As ornery and cynical as I've become, it's actually much more of a happy feeling, or approximating a happy feeling, than I've ever had in my life. But I need to move past the recovery mode and find the productive mode. I need to find my energy again. I need to find my motivation and my will to thrive, my will to do. It just hasn't been there. I've been semi-catatonic, really. So my 4th goal for this year is to find my way out of the morass of long-term emotional recovery into that being in my past and having a baseline of being productive. That is where I need to be. And I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to get there. I just feel like it's time, like the natural process of recovery is coming to a close. So I guess it's less of a goal and more of a, I think this is where I'm going, but it really needs to be where I'm going. I feel like 2019 is going to be a year where I get to function like a real person, maybe. Or at least we'll get closer. So we'll see. But at least that's where my mindset is, right? All right, number 5, and this is the fun one. Number 5, and there's the furnace again. Because why would this house need to have insulated walls? Yeah, it's definitely a singular flavor, but I think I like it. I just wouldn't want it all the time. It's not like every morning kind of tea, I don't think. It's like a, ooh, that sounds fun right now. Okay. Number 5 is the fun one. Throughout all this old baggage that I was talking about, the unfinished business, for a long time that has been my priority, and that has meant that the priority that really matters to me has just been on the back burner. And that is my metaphysical pursuits. And by metaphysical, I mean energy work, mostly. My Reiki practice has suffered, my meditation is out the window, and more specifically, I want to work on synthesizing specific past lives with this one. And what I mean by that is when I was in Greece, I had some really profound moments where the veil on my memories lifted a little bit, and I was able to connect with an earlier version of myself, a few earlier versions of myself that I almost didn't recognize because they were so undamaged. And what I've come to realize as I'm processing everything that went down is that getting in touch with those, well, ancient pieces of myself is such a gift, because that version of me had resources that this version of me never had a chance to develop. So if I can tap into my memories of those lives, I might be able to patchwork myself enough to approximate being a whole being. And I don't know that that would have been possible without being able to reach back to an uncorrupted version of myself, like a backup software. So if we're gonna run with this crazy metaphor, whatever viruses of non-functionality that I acquired coming into this incarnation, I've done enough wiping that maybe now I can go back to that older software, that older version, and pull in programs that were otherwise fatally corrupted. Anyway, I don't know if that metaphor is working for you or not, but the point is I've got a lot of work to do sorting out some very intense, clear memories that I didn't have until this last fall. And I really want to do that because why wouldn't I? So that's my 5. What are your resolutions? What kinds of things do you like to start over in the new year? Or what have you decided that you want 2019 to be for you? What are your hopes, aspirations, expectations in the coming year? Tell me in the comments. I'd like to know. And then just on an end note, I want to talk about something that I ran across recently, and I think it's really fascinating. Maybe some of you have seen this as well. It's 2019, but if you look at the date, the year in the mirror, what the heck? I'm not sure what to make of this. My first reaction to seeing this, besides amusement, was, well, that clearly has nothing to do with me. I'm out on that one. But I chew on everything. So as I pondered it and I did a little bit of research, what would Eros have to do with me? I'm not a fan of Cupid by any stretch of the imagination. And my relationship with Venus is complicated. So I really don't know what to make of this. Other than Eros is going to have a lot of influence over this year. But how do we make sense of it? Is it going to be for good, or is it going to be for bad? I mean, it is sort of like only visible on the reverse, right? So here's how I've started to make sense of this. I know that Eros is the original Cupid. Cupid is the Roman version. Eros is the Greek. And so Eros is not fettered by the same level of cupiditas that Cupid is, right? Cupid has come to represent more closely the id, whereas Eros, being the earlier version, is more about what is good in passion, what is good in sensuality. And he doesn't just represent sexual intimacy, right? But the sensual and all that the sensual relates to. Plato used Eros as a concept for being in love with or searching for beauty as it relates to the beauty in this world that echoes at the beauty of the divine. I'm probably completely butchering Plato, but it's this idea, right? That Eros is a love of the best things of this world, of this physical world. So I can kind of get behind that. Then later Freud, and I can't believe I'm even using Freud, but the man had his moments. Freud ran with Plato's Eros, and he used the term Eros for this concept of a love of life, or this tendency toward life. And he contrasted that with Thanatos, which is one of the Greek gods of death. So for Freud, Eros was the embracing of life and the celebration of life, and Thanatos was the celebration of death. And of course, he believed that they were both necessary. One wasn't good and one was evil. It wasn't like that. It was like this sort of balance of life, death, life cycle stuff. I'm not pretending to understand either Plato or Freud terribly well, but these are the schools of thought that help me make sense out of 2019 being the mirror image of Eros. So if I take Plato and Freud and sort of ingest them into my own convoluted perceptions of reality, I don't know whether Eros' influence over 2019 means that it's a great year to get engaged or it's a horrible year to get engaged. And it's probably going to be different for everybody. Like, how does Eros play out in your life? For me, it dawned on me that maybe 2019 will be the year that I find a peace with this life. If Eros is the force of loving life, that force toward creation, in opposition to the force for death, the love of death, which admittedly has been a steady part of my existence. I mean, I've wanted to get out of here since before the moment I was actually born. Before I made the final push, before my mother made the final push, something like that, I remember taking a pause and just being like, oh, frick. I'm not ready to do this again. This weight of heaviness and resistance and reluctance. Just this heavy reluctance to do this frickin' thing over again. And that's never left me. I have, to varying degrees, ached to be out of here my whole life. And maybe, if we can follow my convoluted logic here, if 2019 is the year of Eros, of finding an appreciation for the best things in life, maybe this is the year that I come to terms and make peace with the fact that I'm stuck here, probably for several more decades. I don't know, it seems like a big ask. But maybe, what is that Shakespeare quote? There are more things under heaven and earth than something man's comprehension, something. Anyway, sorry, Shakespeare fans. I never did memorize any of his work, but you can't limit the universe. So, I don't know, maybe just maybe, 2019 will be the year I stop loathing the fact that I'm still here. Wouldn't that be something? That would definitely be something to be grateful for. We'll see what happens. So, oh, the changing of the guard on the year has happened. It is a brand new baby year, all laid out in front of us, still, with all the possibilities open, it almost gives one a sense of hope. But all the possibilities are out there, the good and the bad, and it's up to us to find a way to make it through the year on a win. It could happen, right? And right now, it still could. So it's the best part of the year because all the positive things can still happen. And I've got a lot of progressive things that I want to work on this year, and that makes me happy and excited. What makes you happy and excited about the new year? Or are you? And what do you think about 2019 being influenced so heavily by Eros? And about 2019 adding up to 12? Where are we going in this crazy, crazy world? I hope you've had a wonderful holiday season. I hope you're looking forward to the new year and you're full of ambition and productivity and that you're finding your joy. If there's any joy to be had, we find it in the small things every day, the little accomplishments, and sometimes, if we're really lucky, the big accomplishments. So, thanks for this, thanks for watching, and let's make 2019 wild. I know I'm certainly gonna try. Thanks, wild ones. I'll see you in the next video.